Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Reverend Whitney Altop and the wonderful congregation of St. Stephen's for your invitation. It is an honor to be here. My familiarity with Ridgefield comes from reading about the Prospector Theater and its transformation mission of providing competitive and integrated employment to people with disabilities. Prior to ministry, I completed a master's in disability studies and dedicated a majority of my life to the development of autistic curriculum. Moreover, today I can add another component to my knowledge of Ridgefield, and that is my visitation here. Well, friends, let us transition to the matter at hand. And it is the Gospel of Luke's depiction of one of Jesus' many encounters of persevering faith. The lurking threats, regardless of the imminent sorrows which fall upon us, do not impede or silence the ministries of the church and God's compassionate love. The compilers of the New Standardized Revised Version of the Bible, also known as the NRSV translation, describes Luke chapter 13, verses 31 through 35 as Jesus' sorrow for Jerusalem. Hence, a very clear indication of Jesus' frustration and disappointment with Herod. One may ask themselves after reading the passage, how and why would Jesus, the Son of God, exhibit such sorrowful remarks? He referred to the king of Jerusalem, Herod, as a fox. A very daring statement to publicly personify a king, a figure of high authority, as a fox. The reference of a fox extends beyond European and American references of someone being sly or cunning. But Jesus' usage of fox, according to New Testament scholars, referred to someone who was utterly destructive. You see, Herod was trying to destroy Jesus' life and his ministries. Yet Jesus is focused on his mission. The lurking threats will not distort him. He says, 1, I'm doing my job. Listen, I'm casting out demons and performing cures today and tomorrow. And on the third day, I finish my work. 3, after he completes his mission, he says he will gladly leave. And he proclaims, yet today, tomorrow, and the next day, I must go on my way. Herod, it's not about you. It's about God's work. It's about God's work of compassionate reconciliation and bringing about a new life, a cure and healing for people and for creation. If your thinking aligns with me at this point, you understand that Jesus was quite frank. The cuddly kumbaya Jesus is not here. Despite Herod's lurking threats, Jesus replies with strong words, and the strong words are his faith. He remains focused on his mission, and he concludes with a blessing, saying, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed are the messengers, the prophet of God. Blessed are the people who remember God's love and mission and also share that love with others." Another striking concept is that rather than denoting the title of Jesus' sorrows as Jesus' sorrows towards Herod, the compilers say Jesus' sorrows towards Jerusalem. Both the compilers and Jesus himself, according to Luke's gospel, subject the sorrows to both the land and the body. In theology, this construct is called connectivity. You see, the people are inseparable for the land. We identify ourselves as Americans because of the land, and we are inseparable. Wherever we go, we identify ourselves as Americans. I'm Jamaican. And when I'm in America and people say, "Where are you from?" I say, "I'm Jamaican." But when I'm in Jamaica, the people identify me as an American. So the land means so much to who we are as a people. And we are inseparable from the land based on the way our society and culture. So Jesus, rather than displaying his anger directly towards Herod, he rebuffs the people, the nation in its entirety. We witness this connectivity with Jesus' repetition of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city that kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to it. We are aware that the name Jerusalem signifies the city of peace. Better yet, translation in Hebrew is Yuru, which means flowing, and Salam, which signifies peace. It should be a city flowing with peace. But yet we witness quite the contrary. It is a city that is calling for the blood of its prophets. It's a city where the king is calling for death. But despite these lurking threats, Jesus remains faithful to the ministry of reconciliation and healing. Let us not get confused by simply holding on or cherishing to the concluding Benedictus in verse 35 that proclaims, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord." Indeed, the Lord's name is to be praised. The question of how and why Jesus, the Son of God, would exhibit such sorrowful remarks is the junction that I really want to get us to bring us to our contemporary world. Even if you and I in this present moment are not facing any lurking threats, a destructive fox who seeks to demolish our livelihood and lands, I'm sure we've heard and read current stories about destruction and warfare. For example, last Sunday on CBS's 60 Minutes, Scott Pelley highlighted the goodness of the people of Poland. A particular town, founded in the 13th century along the southern borders of Poland, noted that as many as 10 trains a day come, each carrying 2,000 refugees. When the refugees arrive, the townspeople greet them with water, soup, and clothing. Town residents willingly open their homes to total strangers. In a touching interview, the mayor of Przemysl noted with a smile that the town has a population of 60,000 people and has received 70 to 80,000 refugees within a few weeks. Two young Polish brothers also related that they then snuck onto the train to offer boxes of food and medicines for the people who were returning to Ukraine, which also carried men who were going to join the war to help their country. You see, these lurking threats, regardless of the imminent sorrows of war, people are finding various ways to live out the gospel and to remain focused, to care about the lives of one another, regardless of what may come their way. And when we think of the story of Poland, it's quite interesting to see how history, especially during the season of Lent, reminds us of transformation. Prior to these current events, when people bulked on trains and made their way to Ukraine, history from the 1940s tells a different story. It was a story of Auschwitz. It was a story of people coming to meet their ways to death. But now Poland can transform that story, or can add another piece to that story and remember the trains that came in 2022 and say that they were there to stand strong, to provide comfort and passion to those who were in need. When I reflect on such stories and see to see the historical transformation, and to see how people have found themselves to be merciful to one another in such times, it reminds me of the work that I do. The work that I do is based on economic development and housing ministries. Often, I get some of the biggest bashings in meetings in terms of, you're trying to bring people into my town, or you're trying to destroy my community. And I often smile. And I always remind people that the work that I do in terms of affordable housing knows no name, it knows no class, and it knows no race or creed. What I'm trying to do is to ensure that each and every person, regardless of how wealthy you are, regardless of how poor you are, has the opportunity to call a place a home. A home is a very important construct for human development, and is also a very important construct for a community's well-being. And I believe that is the message that people are yearning to understand, and a way for us to preserve the character of who we are as a community and as a people. Similar to, I spoke about this idea of being connected to the land and the body. We are so deeply entwined and connected as we think about who we are, where we are in our faith, and where we want to go, and the life or the legacy that we want to leave for future generations. So during the season of Lent, please remember that despite whatever may come our way, remember Christ, remember his words, and remember that God has a wonderful, wonderful mission for each and every one of you, and we're living it out on a daily basis. Amen.